is for artists, and this is for comedians, this is for writers, this is for people who maybe are almost paralyzed in that they have to write a certain script. If you gather my meaning, you have to write in a certain point of view, and there's not much room to poke fun at that script and that point of view, and there's almost a level of, you're hearing authority figures, you're hearing your friends, you have basically the threat of, I will lose connection with people I care about and with society, and it will be a fruitless endeavor because maybe I won't even get published, or if it's a channel, it might get shut down. And here's what I want to say to you. At this time, you've got to think actually more about how you're connecting with your own thoughts and yourself anyway. So I suggest you do produce that work and think of it as something that you're doing for your own expression and peace of mind, and that you will release it. But you almost want to just check out of watching all of these like kind of plummeting narratives and this kind of this whole like fear chaos spiral that's happening. I think you want to have every excuse to get out of it. You want to, and one way to do that, and one way to get in touch with what you think and have a catharsis, have a is to not just be listening and consuming, but be expressing, right? And one of the expressions that I'm doing, that I have done for the past few years, is I'm writing a book called Trigger Warning, which is about a feminist, toxic feminist, I'd say, who is killing everyone that she disagrees with politically, but she always feels like she's in the right. Sound familiar? And she is also, they tend to be straight white males, and she has all that whole vernacular, the whole script that's considered the good script of today. But it has this, it's satirizing it, but it's satirizing it by being in that exact voice, right? And of course, she's kind of an archetype that we've already seen. It's like a toxic femininity channeled through that anema, that kind of dominant, very aggressive, resentful, bitter, but just absolutely smug and morally sanctimonious, that whole thing. Anyway, I wrote 4 chapters of that last February. Let's get through it. I wrote the first chapter 2016. I tried to stay away from it because I thought, I self-censored myself then. I thought, I don't want to deal with this. This is making fun of really all my friends. This is making fun of everyone in my whole culture. This is not, this feels almost like you're going away from the herd. You're not being safe. And then I wrote the next 3 chapters last February, right before COVID. Because I was like, I'm back, and then COVID hit. Then I started thinking, well, I couldn't even get in the headspace of that, because I was thinking, well, wow, the world has such a climax that I can't get into the climax of this. But then I also started thinking, well, I had been needing a middle. I knew my beginning and my end for this novel. Here's the middle. So I knew that I needed to work on it, but I had such resistance because of fear of losing the connection of culture in the group. And then this week, the Capitol storming, the narrative of the left just keeps having it's almost like it's being written. It's how seamless it is. It has it playing out so perfectly that it seems like to remark on it is like, is it just kind of, should I just stop? Should I just be writing some fluffy romances and thrillers? Because I think I should get my mind off of, I should not pursue this. I should write. And there's this level of self-censorship, but I actually really hate seeing that in me. I hate seeing that in artists, and especially now when we're dealing with just an absolute purge of people who are dare make an observation or speculation about anything different with 2020 in any element, you know. And so there's just such a futility. And I say we can't give in to this futility, and we cannot, we can't be in this kind of fear state of anticipating that someone won't let us say what we want to say, because that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we think that we're going to be shut down and so we don't speak because we think it's useless, then what better way? That's actually even more subservient than somebody that spoke and then got shut down, because at least that person who spoke and got shut down, at least that person woke some people up before, and then they continue because there's just this element of this, like, what's the use that we have to stop. We have to remember that you don't just give in to the tyrants, and you know it's tyranny going on, and so you need to write, you need to express, and you need to stay interior. So my habit that I started this month is making a YouTube video every day. My other habit is going to be, I'm going to write an hour a day toward Trigger Warning, the novel. And I'm not going to be obsessed with these voices that say, well, this won't get published, this won't get published, this has agent, you know, there's all kinds of voices like that. I mean, I have them, they really are on me. And it's just, I want to say to the artists out there that I'm grappling with this, and I really applaud those of you who are persisting in expressing, and I am going to persist in expressing as well. But it doesn't mean I don't have those demons in my head that are completely saying, you aren't allowed to say this, you can't say this, you can't make fun of this, you can't satirize this. Why don't you just be safe and write some very vanilla, like easy pudding of a fun escape book? And then another part of me says, well, maybe you should also just write more high vibe, like a high vibe kind of something that raises the frequency. Because if I'm just poking fun at something that we already know that they're, all the people that see it already see it, and then the people that still don't see it, they're in it. So how is it gonna? Is it gonna wake anyone up, or is it just gonna energize the existing people? You know, I don't know what it will. You know, that's the thing. Is it's tough to know, and so I just think, just like I said at the beginning, there's no, even just in the element of connecting with yourself and your voice and doing it, even if you don't release it, is in itself of value. Because during this time, it's good to be to step into your interior and to get in touch with your energy and yourself, and not be letting all of this external kind of fear and chaos be the manipulation that it wants to be, because it wants to pull your strings and it wants to drain you. And so what would not drain me is remembering that I have a voice and writing this and pushing through and doing what I can. And then maybe after that, then I'll write something uplifting. I'll just keep writing and producing. And so that's my goal, and I hope that you join me. I hope that you too do not self-censor yourself, because I think that's even worse than the tech lords censoring.